growth has some different understanding. The concept of the growth can be negative as well. So we can say a negative growth. However, for the assessment of the growth and development, the word growth is considered as an increase in the size and the number. The word development has different understanding. The development means that there is some complex phenomena, and in this, basically the individual has get maturity. So in the development, you would be having the organizational level of the individual is increasing, and there is increase in the complexity. So in development, you have three different features you would see. You will be seeing the increase in the complexity, you will be seeing the increase in the specialization of the individual, and the loss of potential. So complexity means that, for example, in the as an individual is developing, so what is basically happening, the complex mechanism of the tissues and complex form of the tissues are developing. What is happening, in the start you have a one type of cell which is zygote. So from a single type of cells, from a single cell, different types of the cells are developing, and you may be having neural tissues, you may be having the lymphoidal tissue, you may have having the genital tissues. So the complexity level of an individual, for example, in neural tissue you have a very complex mechanism of the neurons, and very complex organizational level of the neurons. So you would be having the complexity of an individual. As the growth and development is occurring, the complexity is increasing, as well as the specialization means if in the start you would be having one zygote, one cell, and with the specialization means for example, uh, the specialized tissue are being developing with the growth and development. For example, from a single cell which was zygote, you would be having genital tissue, you would be having neural tissue, you would be having lymphoidal tissue. So what is happening, a cell is reaching to the specialized form. And specialization mean, for example, what is happening in the specialization, you do a BDS and then you do the specialization in orthodontics. So basically your path is being divergent, a divergent path is being developed with this specialization. In a similar way, in the growth and development, you will be having a single cell, and from a single cell, and a specialized tissue, for example, the neural tissue is being developed, lymphoidal tissue is being developed, genital tissue is being developed. So these are the specialized form. And another feature of the development is the loss of potential. What is loss of potential? You have a mesenchymal, undifferentiated mesenchymal cells, and from these undifferentiated cells, you would be having different type of cells. So potential mean, for example, if you have one cell, for example, I say about the zygote, so this has the potential to become a neural tissue, this has the potential to become the lymphoidal tissue, this has the potential to become any type of the tissue. But what is happening within the development, as the tissue, as the complexity is increasing, as the specialization of the tissues are increasing, what is happening, the zygotic cell which has the potential to become any type of the tissue in the body, uh, there is a loss of potential. For example, you have a track from this point, from this point to this point, and it can go like this and can go like this, it can go in this direction. But if a organizational level, a type of the tissue is converted from this to this level, what is happening, the potential to go to any other direction is being lost, and it has reached to a point, another point. In the growth and development, you see, with the loss of potential, the mesenchymal, the undifferentiated mesenchymal cell is losing potential to become another type of the tissue. So if you allow me to complete the sentence, to become another type of tissue is being lost, the potential to become another type of the tissue is being lost. So from a zygotic cell, you would be having a neural tissue. So the potential to become other type of the tissue is being lost with the development. So I normally teaches to my students that you would be having three features: CSP, CSP, C for the complexity, S for the specialization, and P for the potential. So you have in the development you having the three different features, that is the CSP: complexity level, specialization level, and the potential to become any other type of the tissue is being lost as the growth and developing are occurring. There are certain features of the growth and development. One is the pattern. If you have a floor types of certain design, so what you see in a certain type of the floor design, you would be seeing you will be saying that it has got a certain pattern. Pattern means that you would be having a different types of the tiles in a floor, and that are being repeated at certain interval, so you would be having certain proportionality. So the same term is used in the study of the growth and development. When I say about the proportion, you see a different set of proportions. Set of proportions mean, for example, we have a set of proportion between the hand, upper limbs and the lower limbs. We have a set of proportion between upper jaw and the lower jaw. We have a set of proportion between the head, cranium, and the face. We have a set of proportion between the total head and the trunk. We have a set of proportion. So in a body, in a growth and development, you would be having different sets of proportions of different organs and different tissues with each other. Okay, so now we have developed the understanding of complex set of proportions of different organs. So what happened in the pattern? There is a change in the set of proportions over the period of time. It is not just a set of proportion on a single point. It is not the set of proportion on a single point, but a change in these proportional relationship over the period of time. Okay, over the period of time means, for example, if I give you an example, the set of proportion between the maxilla and mandible and cranium and face and head and with the trunk, these all set of proportion, we are not studying these set of proportion on a single time. We are studying the change in these set of proportion over the period of time in the growth and development. Let us just take the example of one set of proportion. In one set of proportion, you have the full cranium and the trunk. In the third trimester, the size of the cranium is almost 50% of the size of the full body. But at the time of the birth, there is a change in the set of proportion. The size of the cranium is almost 30% of the size of the total body. And in the adult, the head is comprising only 12% of the total body length. So what you see over here, there is a proportion between the head and a full body, but this in the third month you have 50%, in the at the time of the birth you have 30%, and in the adulthood you have 12%. So this proportion is being changed over the period of time. And now we have taken the example of one set of proportion. There are different complex set of proportion between the upper limb or lower limb, between the trunk and the lower limb. So when we will be studying the growth and development, we will see that different proportions of the body are being changed over the period of time, and this feature of growth and development is basically we study under the umbrella of pattern of the growth and development. So if I give you an example, you see over here, we have broadly, schemals have broadly divided the body tissue into four different types of the tissues. They have divided the full body into the four major types, that are the neural tissue, the lymphoidal tissue, the somatic tissue, that somatic tissue including the general tissue body, including the muscles, bone, and the viscera, and the genital tissue. What you can see in the Scheman's curve, and that you can see from the Prophet book, chapter 2, you see that there are different tissues, and the pattern of the growth and development are different for each type of the tissue. You can see lymphoidal tissue. You see this, the lymphoidal tissue has a different curve, and around the age of the 10 to, you see the peak of the lymphoidal tissue you will be observing. And if you look at the neural tissue, what you can see over there, that at the age of the 6 to 7 years, all of the neural tissues are almost mature, and in the later stages there is no growth in the neural tissue. And what you can see in the genital tissue, the size of the genital organs and the secondary sex character that are related to the genital organs are very small, and you see the size of the genital tissue dramatically start increasing near the adolescence when the subject is attaining the sexual maturity. So at the time of the sexual maturity, the genital tissues start increasing exponentially in the sizes. And now come to the our area of concern. Our area of concern is basically the genital tissue. So in the genital tissue you could see a kind of an S-shaped curve. Pattern of the growth and development is like this, that in the genital tissue you would be having some slower growth in this time frame, and then it is start increasing again in these years 10 to 13 or 12. Then it start increasing again, and this is again is a spurt. So you would be having this understanding of the spurt. A growth spurt is a few years or a certain period of time in which you will be observing a magnificent growth and development. So this we call as a growth spurt. Why this is called growth? You have a constant rate of growth and development, but in certain years, like 2 years or 3 years, you would be having a magnificent and a very prominent form of the growth. So this is technically called the growth spurt. So in the general tissue, in the general body mass, you would be having an S-shaped curve comprising two different two and three different growth spurt. So, regarding the lymphoidal tissue, you see the size of the lymphoidal tissue around 100% at the age of the 7, and around 200% around the age of the 12. And you see the lymphoidal tissue start regressing in the size as with the growth and the development. So, in the pattern, we see what is pattern? Pattern is basically the complex set of proportion, not only at a single point of time, but over the period of time these set of proportions are changing with each other. Variability means that we cannot say and we cannot divide anything in black and white, that this is normal and this is abnormal. We cannot divide anything like this. Variability means that there is a degree of the difference of growth and development between different individuals. The variability means that instead of dividing anything into the black and white, that this pattern of the growth is normal, this type of the growth is abnormal. Variability gives the concept that there is a range of normality up to this point. To this point we are considering this as within the range of the normal. So in the study of the growth and development, we have to divide the growth of an individual in a range of in the range of normality. So for the assessment of the variability, we could be having a concept of the growth chart. What is basically the growth chart? This is a growth chart starting from age 2. In this, basically we count the height and weight with reference to the chronological age. This is basically the growth chart, and in the growth chart you have the horizontal line, which is the chronological age of a child, and in this we assess the height and as well as the weight of the child. This chart gives us the idea of the range of normality. If you consider the this part, you see you have different pattern of the growth and development. If your child is falling on certain points on a year, is it possible for you to predict the future growth? Yes, this is possible. For example, on the age 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all the dots are on a single line. Then this could be possible for you to predict and tell you what could be the weight or height in the following year if the child is following a certain line, because the pattern is developed if you are following a child for certain years. So the benefit of these growth chart are twofold. One, this could be a method to detect the growth spurt, because if you are making the recording and readings over the period of time and a child has picked up a pattern that is matching to a certain line. Then, if all the readings are on the same line for last 5, 7 years, 10 years, then it would be possible for you to predict the future stature following following the line present in the graph. One, secondly, this give you an idea the range of the normality. For example, if I give you an example for age of 8 years, your child stature or height could be from this point to this point. If they are falling within this range, then this falls within the range of normality. If they are much away from each other, for example, it is deviant from the 90% of the population, then it's a serious concern. If, for example, the clinical application of the situation is this, that if a child is presenting to your clinic with the age of 12 years and you are very surprised with the height of the child, so do you think you would be starting the growth modification and starting the orthodontic treatment of that patient, or would you be referring the same patient to a medical doctor for the red flag signs? What is the red flag signs? For you, the child of 12 years is having a very small height, that this could be a serious medical condition that has to be identified first, and then after the identification of that medical problem, you would be assessing what this could be a kind of a syndrome or any malnutrition or any other serious problem that need to be considered primarily, then elective kind of or developmental problem that can be catered later on. So this growth chart allow you, if an individual is very much deviating from the normal pattern of growth and development, then this should be a point for the referral of a child to somewhere else, so that its growth and development or any abnormality in the growth and development should be assessed first, rather than starting an orthodontic treatment for that individual. Secondly, this allow us to present growth status of an individual. Okay, and and it allows us to follow the child's growth over the period of time using such charts. So with the help of the variability, we can categorize an individual within the range, instead of making them in a black and white format, that this is normal, this is abnormal. Yes, you can make it black and white if it is deviating 97th percent from the normal population. If this finding is very much surprising, then definitely it's a black and white situation, and it has to be referred the patient for the assessment of the growth and development. Another feature of the growth and development is the timing. So here you need to assess what is the different kind of the graph. You can see two different kinds of the graph here. One is a distance curve and the other is a velocity curve. You need to understand the two different kind of the curves. One is distance curve and other is a velocity. Velocity, you need to understand the rate of change in the height per year. This is the rate of change. Rate of change means, for example, this is telling you a kind of a growth spurt. Why this is growth spurt? Because the rate of growth and development is being changed. For example, this is the height gain centimeter per year. So what this basically this graph is showing? This graph is showing in term of the centimeters. You've seen there is a 4 centimeter or 6 centimeter per year increase in the height. But what you can see in the range of the 12, 13, 14 or 15 years, you see the size of an individual is dramatically increasing. Let's say I said 12 centimeter increase in the size. So how this is representing a kind of a growth spurt. What is growth spurt? You see a child and that is gradually increasing in the height from age 7 to 9, 7 to 8, from age 8 to 9. You see there is like 2 centimeter increase in the height from age 7 to 8, from age 8 to 9, from age 9 to 10, from age 11 to 12. You see a 2 centimeter increase in the height of an individual. But in a following year, like in the age of the 12, you see 4 centimeter increase in the height. in the age of the 13, you see the height is 6 or 7 centimeter increase in the size. So drawing or developing a velocity curve allow you to represent the data of the growth and development in a velocity curve. Velocity curve is describing the rate of change of growth and development. This could be height, this could be weight, this could be anything. So this is describing the change per year. Okay, and there is another kind of the a curve which is basically the velocity curve, the distance curve. So for example, if I give you an example, you are moving from your city to another city and you are on a road. So the distance which you have covered, you have in the starting half hour you have covered like 10 kilometer of distance. In the next half an hour you would be covering 11 kilometer of the distance in the next half an hour. So you are moving from one point to another point, and the road is basically the pathway, and in this road you are covering the distance. In a similar way, in the study of the growth and development, how you are presenting this chart, the child is basically growing and increasing in the number of the years. So you see the size of the child is from 2 years to 4 years, from 4 years to 6 years, from 6 years to 8 years. You see the years are increasing and its height is increasing. The height is increasing and there is no concept that it can change and go back. You don't see a child of 8 years that its height is decreasing. It cannot be decreased. You could say a flat line if the child is not growing or the height is stopped from increasing. But there is a distance in this you can relate with a simple example of the distance that you are covering from one city to another city. If you are not going back on the road, the distance is being covered. So what you can see in the speedometer, you see the kilometers are increasing. So this is basically the distance curve. But the rate of change, you can see the speedometer is going from 60 to 40 kilometers, and from 40 to 80, then it go back to zero. So the moving needle is basically describing you the rate of change, that you now you are on 40 kilometer per hour, now you are on 60 kilometer per hour, now you are on the 80 kilometer per hour, and it go back to 0 kilometer or 1 kilometer if you have very slow down the speed. But the distance you have traveled, that is coming in the form of the kilometer, that is the distance curve. In this example, you see the distance curve is this, that the child is increasing in the height and the years are increasing. This is the distance curve, and this will be important in the study of the growth and development. The timings mean. So if I ask you the question, what is this form of the graph? This a distance curve or the velocity curve?
This is velocity.
Yes, this is the velocity curve because it is decreasing. The distance curve cannot decrease and go back. So I'm giving an example of the timing. Timing means that the same biological event is occurring and happening at different timing of the growth and development. You see then early maturer and a late maturer. What you can see over here, that there is a height. This is, as you said, this is the velocity curve. The velocity curve means that in these years the rate of the growth is increasing, then it start decreasing, and this is basically the growth spurt. So in a late maturer, you would be seeing the same biological events are happening at different age groups. Okay, and the similar you see
Okay.
over here as well. These are the ages. Okay, these are the ages of the individual, and you see the monarchy over here. The M1 is another group, M2 and M3, they are different. M is stand for the monarchy, and these are the M for the and you know the monarchy is considered as the point where the maximal growth has achieved. The peak of the velocity has passed now. The point of the monarchy is basically describing you the peak of the growth spurt has passed, and now the stable and a slower growth is starting again. So uh, you see early maturer, you see a late maturer. So, what is the difference between the early and the late maturer? Early maturer means a patient is also considered as normal, but if they would be having menarche at the age of the 11 years, they could be a normal maturing girl. This could be having the menarche at the age of the 12 years, and there could be a late maturer which may have menarche in the age of the 13 or 13.5 years. Okay, so the same biological event, for example, like the menarche is very important in the study of the growth and development because this is giving you a clue, especially for the patient who needs some growth modification, that the peak of the growth is now over. The peak height velocity has gone, and now a stable and a slower growth would occur after the commencement of menarche. For example, the clinical relevance is this: a female is presenting to your dental clinic, and she is giving a positive history of menarche, and she is saying like from last 6 or 7 months she has the menarche. Then there is a very lesser chances that you would be considering her for the treatment of growth modification, because the reason is that the growth peak height velocity has gone. But the correlation of this point of timings with reference to the current heading of the timing for the study of the growth and development is so important that you could have early maturer in which the same biological event is happening earlier, and there could be have a late maturer in which the same biological event, which could be a menarche, which could be a development of a certain teeth, which could be an appearance of a secondary sex character, another kind of the features, the same features are happening at different age groups. So you would not be considering them as an abnormal, because in the study of the growth and development your main objective is to differentiate what is normal and what is in the range of the normality, and what is so abnormal that has a red flag sign that need to be considered and that need to be addressed exactly or the same timing to prevent it from further deterioration. So that's why the assessment of timing is so important. So the take home message for the timing is just that you do not need to be worried, and you should not be labeling the same situation as an abnormal feature. This is the feature of the growth and development, and in this you see the different biological event. For example, there is a generalized late developmental of the dentition. For example, for a certain individual, all the biological features of the dental edges are generalized slow. So up to 2 years, these are considered as a normal because they are not hindering with each other. So these are all about the timings, and you could be having the normal in the normal individual. You could be having three different growth spurt. One is around 3 years, the other is called the juvenile in the mixed transition age. This is the growth spurt that is slightly early. All the growth spurts are slightly earlier in the female, and the growth spurt are slightly late in the male. Okay, so what is basically the clinical significance of the growth and development? The clinical significance is this: that it differentiate the growth changes are normal or abnormal. Okay, so with, for example, a patient has come to you with the age of 12 or 13 years, and you see a very abnormal growth and development, then this is the point that from a growth chart or from a casual examination you would be referring the same patient to the medical specialist or to general physician for the assessment that what is exactly is the status of the growth, and if this is not matching with the chronological age. But if the height is slightly lower, then you may label this as a range of the normality, and you may not be labeled it as abnormal. Then secondly, the patient of 11 years, this could be an early or a late maturer. So for the assessment, especially when you are treating the skeletal disharmonies or skeletal discrepancies, for example, you are treating you want to treat a patient with the functional appliance, or you want to treat a patient with the face mask, there the importance and the assessment of the skeletal maturity is so important, because in these situations your target area is the skeletal tissue you want to address, and you want to correct the skeletal disharmony by the differential growth. You want to grow the mandible, or you want to stop the maxilla, you want to protect the maxilla forward by functional appliance, by headgear, or by face mask. So for the detailed assessment of the skeletal of the growth is important, and that you particularly do with the help of the hand and wrist, or by the hand and wrist now obsolete, and this is replaced by the cervical vertebral maturational level and the IGF-1, etc. So in a similar way, the best timing for the pubertal growth spurt offer you the best time for the majority of the cases in terms of the predictability, timing, duration, and the management. Because, for example, a patient of skeletal disharmony, especially if you want to treat them with a growth modification, the best timing is the adolescent growth spurt. So what you will be doing, you would be trying to catch and to find where exactly is the commencement of the growth spurt, so you can initiate your treatment during growth spurt. And why you want to initiate treatment during growth spurt? Because if you give a functional pines to a patient of a 10 years child, so in a 10 years, if the child growth is very smaller or a lesser, then there would be a smaller change with the help of the appliance. Okay, in the coming year you would be having a more prominent growth. Then for example, in the coming year, which are falling within the range and in the age group of the adolescent growth spurt, then you would be having a more prominent change, because in the years of the adolescent growth spurt you would be having a magnificent growth and development, and you would be having a more chances of producing better results and a more result, because the growth are is occurring at a higher speed. In a similar way, if you want to treat a patient with the orthognathic surgery, so before doing the orthognathic surgery, you need to be very clear about it. The growth has stopped, because even after doing the orthognathic surgery, if the jaws are growing abnormally in certain direction, in vertically, because if you want to assess the growth status of the patient who need an orthognathic surgery. Why you need to assess the growth status of the patient, especially who will be needing the orthognathic surgery? The reason is that they has to be a seized growth, because for example, if you have a patient of the class 2, and you have advanced the mandible with the orthognathic surgery of bilateral split osteotomy, and even after doing the orthognathic surgery, the growth is continue. The growth will definitely follow the same pattern. And now you understand what I mean by the pattern, because they will follow the same pattern. So even after doing the orthognathic surgery, if the child will keep on growing on the same pattern of growth and development, the child would become again class 2. Why? Because any further growth after the orthognathic surgery is basically, in a simple word, is deteriorating the results. Okay, in a simpler way, for the arch expansion, you want to expand the maxilla on the mid palatal suture. So with the growth and development, the mid palatal suture is integrating, and it is fusing with the mid palatal suture is being fused with the increasing age. So you need to assess the growth and the growth status of the patient. So you could start your disjunctional mean you want to expand at the level of the mid palatal suture. So you want to expand at the level of the mid palatal suture, if you have a clear idea that the sutures are not fused. And normally the sutures, the best time for the disjunctional expansion, where you could have maximal expansion at the level of the mid palatal suture, is before the commencement of the uh, growth spurt. So these are the certain clinical situations where you definitely need to assess the growth status of the patient.